And welcome to X-Plane. We are sitting here in the ZIBO 737 in San Diego, Lindbergh Field, and we're about to go on a short flight over to Phoenix International. We're using X-Enviro for weather and sky colors, and we are not parked at a gate today. We're just parked at the commuter ramp here, just so that we don't have to worry about pushback. And we're flying a Delta livery. So let's get started. First we're gonna enter our flight plan here. So position is initialized. We are departing from San Diego to Phoenix, and then let me see if we can pull up the route we had entered. But actually, why don't I do this? Why don't I? Oh, that should work. Okay, San Diego, Phoenix. Let's see what we have available here. Alright, looks like it's populated our route. We're doing the Zoo 2 departure through Imperial, and then following Juliet 18 airway, and then that should be fine. Okay. Let's go and take a look at this route on our map here. So we'll switch over to plan mode. As you can see, we're going to depart from runway 27, head out towards the ocean, do a left turn towards the zoo intersection, and I think that looks correct. Okay, and then we'll do set up our arrival into Phoenix. We're gonna do a ILS. I thought we were doing RNAV. RNAV Zulu 7 left. Perfect. Okay. Let's step through that flight plan one more time. Okay, we have a discontinuity here, so we'll just close it. Okay. So I think that looks good. If there's any issues, we'll fix them on the way. Okay, we'll go ahead and set our altimeter here. It's 2997 today. Pretty much standard pressure. We'll go into the performance page here. Actually, we'll set up our weights and balances first. Okay, so we'll do, put 20,000 pounds of passengers in the cargo. Fuel, let's do 12,000 pounds. That puts us at a takeoff weight of 126,000 pounds. That should be okay. So we'll go ahead and enter that here. 2,000 pounds of reserves. Cost index is 36. We're cruising at 270, so pretty close to the FMC computed optimal cruise altitude. And then our D rate today, it's 19 degrees outside. We'll do a TO1 D rate and climb 1 D rate. We'll do flaps 1. Center of gravity was takeoff center of gravity 24.3. And 133, 134, and 144 will be our V speeds. Okay, so we'll go ahead and set up the autopilot panel here. So V2 is 144. We'll do that plus 15, so around like 165. We'll set this to runway heading. And we'll go ahead and give ourselves an initial altitude of 11,000. Okay, we'll check our overhead panel here. APU is already running. I got that started, so we'll kick on our APU generator. Ground power is not needed anymore. Probe heats will go on, cruising at 27,000 feet. So we'll just run down the panel here real quick. Looks good. Okay. Don't need panel lighting at this hour. Electric hydraulic pumps should be off for now. We'll go ahead and put on our navigation lights. And go ahead and put our seatbelt signs on a little bit early there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and so fuel, weight and balance is done. We'll start our flight leg. We'll disconnect our GPU. We will...
Flight attendants, prepare for departure, cross-check, and I'll call, thank you.
As you can see, we're kind of using low anti-aliasing today. That's all because we're using Xenviro, whose clouds are extremely taxing on performance, so we're going to have to put up with some jaggy lines just to get that nice FPS. Actually, why don't I go ahead and get this data output out of the way? Alright. So I think we're pretty much good to start. So we'll make sure we have our air. We'll shut our packs off, turn our APU bleed on, engine bleed off. You can see the pneumatic pressure is rising, and then we'll go ahead and start our engine. So we'll start with engine number 2, ground start. We'll introduce fuel once N2 reaches 25%. I love that, the bass of those engines starting up. 22, 23, 24, 25, fuel is on.
Turned off at this time. If you have anything with an on-off switch, it needs to be turned off.
And then we'll go ahead and start engine number 1. So same thing.
Slide it for your doors.
Fuel on. Go ahead and set our auto brakes to RTO. We will arm LNAV. I don't like to arm VNAV because I like to take care of the speed up and flap retraction manually, just because we want to you know, we don't want to take this initial turn here too fast, so we'll leave our flaps down for that initial turn, and then afterwards we'll speed up and pull our flaps up. So we got 2 good starts. Engine switches will switch over to continuous for takeoff. Generators will go on. APU will go off. APU bleed off. Engine bleed on. Packs on. Electric hydraulic pumps can go on now, and we will be pretty much ready to start rolling. We'll switch our taxi light on, We'll set our trim. So trim needs to be up 4.46, which it pretty much is. That's pretty good. And we'll go ahead and put our flaps down to position 1. Got our live traffic running here. There's a Southwest 737 landing. So if you guys are ready, let's get rolling. Parking brake off. It was off.
If you're seated with a child or someone acting like one, put your mask on first and help them with theirs. Leave the mask in place until otherwise notified by uniformed crew member.
We'll taxi on over to runway 27. It's going to be a very short taxi. And we need to fix our flight controls. They're not working right now, so we'll go ahead and see what's going on. That seems to be working. We'll disconnect our Xbox controller here, see if that helps. Alright, now we got flight controls, so we'll test our flight controls. So that's full left, full right, elevator down, elevator up, rudder left, rudder left, rudder right, left, and good. Oh, there's some weird stuff going on with the live traffic there. Just had some plane rolling backwards through the parking lot. That's the thing with live traffic. Sometimes it kind of screws up, but it's still probably the best option that's available for X-Plane, so we gotta live with it. That's the cell phone lot that we're passing by at San Diego Airport right there. And you can see the USS Midway ship in the background. There seems to also be a cruise ship in port today. 2 cruise ships, a big one and a small one. I would not want to be in a cruise ship right now, that's for sure. Alright, since we're nearing our departure end of the runway, we're gonna flip our landing lights on, runway turn off lights on, taxi lights off. We'll give the cabin a call. And
Clear for departure. Enjoy the flight.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
that was another weird thing. You don't see little Embraers of British Airways at San Diego Airport, that's for sure. Looks like we've got 2 more planes coming in on the RNAV or Visual 27. Go ahead and switch our auto throttle on. We'll actually bump this up to 180. Alright. So we'll climb out and make a left turn. I think we have enough time to shoot ahead in front of that one.
Approaching 27.
Let's do it. Let's make this a rolling takeoff.
On
we go.
runway 27.
60%, and then toga. 80 knots
80
indicating.
knots.
Rotate.
V1 rotate. Positive rate.
Little bit of an aggressive rotation there. Gear up.
400.
So that takeoff leaves a lot to be desired. Kind of depends on your joystick sensitivity settings and your trim. It's hard to get it just right every time, especially in the flight simulator. So as we reach Jetty, we'll start a left turn and we'll keep the speed down at about 180. We have level change selected. And I will be hand flying for this initial part. There we can see Point Loma and Ocean Beach off our left wing. And we'll be passing through these X-Enviro clouds in just a few seconds here. Got a little bit of roughness in the air, but very, very light chop. A lot of people seem to be obsessed with this X-Enviro add-on. I do have to say though that, you know, it is expensive and I still think the clouds look very primitive. Are they cool in the sense that they're 3D volumetric clouds? Sure. But is it worth the performance loss or the loss of anti-aliasing, whichever way you want to go? That's really up to you. I personally have not made up my mind yet how I feel about it. I will say though that X-Enviro's lighting effects, sky colors and lighting effects really are the best part about the product and really make it worth the money. That being said, you do have to put up with a lot of weird artifacts in the clouds and pretty terrible performance. So that's just the way it is. Alright, as we climb through Zoo here, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to VNAV. I'm still hand flying, but for the sake of the flight director. And then we're going to slowly accelerate up to 250 knots, and we'll retract our flaps as soon as we pass 200 as indicated. That should be good. San Diego off our left wing. It does look kind of washed out and kind of very deserty. In real life, it's a lot greener than this.
1,000 to go.
I'll go ahead and engage the autopilot just because there's not much going on here. This thing's leveling off at 11,000, but we'll actually have it go up all the way to 270. Which will be our cruising altitude today. So we'll go ahead and switch the landing gear lever off, auto brake off. Engine start can go to auto. And then runway turn off lights off, landing lights off since we're above 10,000 feet. Wing lights can go off. Actually this should be a strobe and steady. And go ahead and switch our window heat on. Sometimes if you don't do that, the windows fog up and it's annoying, you can't see anything. This view is pretty realistic. I fly out of San Diego a lot. With the exception of the ground colors, they should be significantly greener. I'm not sure if it's my ortho or the combination of the X and Viro lighting that's making it look very beige and deserty. Alright, let's take a look at our after takeoff checklist. Right, passenger signs, we can go ahead and switch those to auto. Altimeters will go to standard in just a little bit. It says that TCAS is off, so I'll switch it on. We'll go ahead and switch our altimeters over to standard. And we're picking up some tailwind here. We got a 25 knot wind from our back right. So our ground speed is climbing steadily, and that should increase as we get up to our cruising altitude. Off to our left, we can see the mountains just east of San Diego. Out in the distance there is, on our left, is Poway. And then over more towards our right is Julian. We're probably following the Interstate 8 right now and getting close to Alpine. And then pretty soon we're going to transition over to the desert. And there's some more X and Viro clouds that we're coming up on. Again, I mean, I think they look okay, but I am in no way blown away by them. As you can see, this shimmering is still present. It's kind of annoying. I think these clouds look best when it's either sunrise or sunset and you're flying in between two layers of clouds. Then they look pretty good. They also look pretty cool if you're approaching an airport and there's a cloud layer that's pretty low to the ground. So you might be at like 3,000 or 4,000 feet and you still have this cloud layer to pass through before you can see the runway, and that just looks really cool with X and Viro. It's something you can't really get as easily with just default clouds. Okay. Looks like there won't be too much sightseeing since we have this pretty uniform blanket around us. Well, maybe it'll clear up a little bit as we get closer to Phoenix. As we're cruising, I think I'm going to go ahead and pull up our approach plate for the RNAV runway 7 left approach at Phoenix. So I'm actually using an app on my iPad called um, Flight Plan Go, which links to my X-plane wirelessly and displays my position just like it would in the real aircraft. And I can put in my full route. And
1,000 to go.
it's like basically a moving map, and I have access to free charts for the entire United States. I can overlay a chart onto the moving map. If I have time, I'll try to include that in the video here. Alright, we've reached our cruising altitude. Flight level 270. So there's really not much to do at this point. We can, our altimeters are standard on both sides. And then we can prepare our FMC for our arrival. So that's why I'm pulling up the plate here. Again, with an RNAV approach, there's really not that much that needs to get done. We can go ahead and enter our landing field elevation. Phoenix is at 1,135 feet. And the arrival ATIS in Phoenix is 127.575. 127.575. Okay, so our plates here show that we should be at waypoint Upnil at 4,000 and waypoint Yexi at 3,000. So we'll go ahead and cross-verify that with the FMC. So Upnil at 4,000 or above, and Yekni at 3,000 or above. I also like to check these speeds here. In X-Plane, sometimes it's hard to decelerate in time by using an excessive amount of speed brake. I like to make sure that my approach has like a level off point where I could go ahead and reduce my speed and put up some flaps before we start down the glide slope, which in this case is pretty much at uphill. As you can see, there is a 2.7 nautical mile lag at 4,000 feet, which is not much, but it should provide us with enough enough space to slow down a little bit. Let me see here if this looks good. I think that should work. And then we'll land with flaps 30, and our V speed will be 138. And because it's an RNAV approach, it's pretty much all we have to do. Everything will be pretty automatic. Over to our left, we can see the Salton Sea, as well as the Anza Borrego Desert. It's a beautiful desert if you ever get the chance to go there in real life and camp out there for the night, see the stars. It's very desolate and beautiful. As you can see, all these fields here south of the Salton Sea are irrigated and artificially irrigated. And then you can see the town of, or city rather, of El Centro in underneath the wing there. Let's kind of take a stroll through the cabin and see what's going on. not too many passengers on our flight today. Looks like we got about maybe a 50% load. Let's see what's going on our other side here. We can actually go ahead and, oh, that's cool. You can see the city of Mexicali or Mexicali underneath. So that's the U.S.-Mexico border right there, where that edge of the city is. And alright guys, I think I'm going to take a break in the video here, and we'll see you guys at the top of descent, which is coming up in about 96 nautical miles, or at 2030 Zulu, so in about 15 minutes.